Welcome to Belizean Creole culture, where we will discuss who we are and from where we came. Before we explore Belizean Creole culture, it is important to note that the beautiful tapestry of what makes Belize so unique to the world are the various ethnic groups which are all interconnected. These groups are the Maya, Garinagu, Lebanese, Mestizo, Mennonites, Taiwanese, Chinese, and of course, Belizean Creole. Here is an image of the late Belizean Creole advocate Miss Leela Vernon. Take a look at this picture. Notice how Miss Leela Vernon chose to adorn herself with traditional Creole dress. She also chose to adorn herself with jewelry to accentuate her Maya heritage. By wearing her jade necklace and traditional Maya earrings, Miss Vernon was not only embracing her Maya heritage, she was showing that Creole culture is not limited to a single ancestral heritage. Miss Leela Vernon demonstrated through music, song, and her very life that Belizean Creoles embrace all facets of our rich heritage. As Belizean Creoles, absolutely no doubt that our ancestors shared African ancestry. It was evident in our original coat of arms, in which one man of African ancestry is holding an axe and the other man is holding a dory paddle. Our ancestors were the ones who fought for the land of Belize, labored in it, and defended it. Belize is home to many historical Creole villages. Many are within the Belize River Valley. Belize City was home to Ibu, or Ibo Town. Gales Point, Malantee was home to a Maroon village, and Freetown Saboon was also a Maroon village within Belize. How long have Belizean Creoles been in Belize? The answer is that Belizean Creole culture, which includes the language, food, traditions, music, and people, was created right in Belize. From the amalgamation of cultures in the region, Belizean Creoles, with pre-1798 ancestral roots to the area, are descendants of West and Central Africans, the indigenous peoples of the Americas, such as allies the Mosquito and the Maya, in addition to European buccaneers who were in the area seeking financial opportunity. These buccaneers later turned baymen who were involved in the mahogany and logwood trade. These grassroots Belizeans have well over 400 years of existence and ancestral ties to Belize. The Oxford Dictionary of Phrases, 2006, defines Creole as a person of mixed European and Black descent, especially in the Caribbean, descendant of Spanish or other European settlers in the Caribbean or Central or South America. How did Creole culture emerge in Belize? To answer, we'll have to take a trip to the Mosquito Shore and the history of Providence Island. The area of Belize was known as the Bay of Honduras. In 1508, Spanish explorers Vicente Yanez Pinzon and Juan Diaz de Solis noted Mosquito in the area of modern-day Belize near the Coxcomb Mountains. English privateers were documented on Providence Island in 1629. English privateer Daniel Efrith was involved in capturing Spanish and Portuguese ships with human cargo. Efrith was also responsible for discovering Providence Island. Daniel Efrith and Captain Camlock of Summer Islands discovered 2 islands off the coast of Moskitia in 1625. Camlock, with 30 men, stayed on the smaller island, which was San Andreas Island. Governor Bell of Bermuda wrote on behalf of Sir Nathaniel Rich a proposal for colonizing Providence Island due to its strategic location lying in the heart of the Indies and the mouth of the Spaniards. The Indies was the Moskitia of the mainland, who established a mutual trade relationship with these English and Dutch privateers. In October of 1636, Dutch privateers of Providence Island stole 2 Portuguese slave ships. 200 of the 500 enslaved Africans were sold. The remaining captives were released at Cabo Gracias a Dios in the heart of Moskitia. These Africans intermarried with the native Moskitia population, creating a group known as the Zambu Moskitia and the beginning of Creole culture in the Bay of Honduras and on the Mosquito Shore. The Moskitia, or the Zambu Moskitia, became the royal family of Moskitia, in addition to generals and those in military command. In 1639, Daniel Efrith wrote of old buccaneers with Africans and mulattoes from Havana in the Bacalao, Campeche, and off the Bay of Honduras. He wrote that these men were well versed in the difficult terrain of the area, who also engaged in the stealing of vessels, of Spanish vessels, and human cargo. Daniel Efrith provided his journal with an early map of the Bay of Honduras to the leadership of the Puritans, which is now archived with the Winthrop Society. The Puritan Company merchants brought with them a labor force of English indentured servants and a few native North Americans. Daniel Efrith provided African labor stolen from Spanish and Portuguese ship raids. The Puritans of Providence Island Company sent a ship to the mainland to trade with the Moskitia, establishing a trading relationship with the native Moskitia. The Moskitia, in turn, helped the newcomers establish a trading post near Bluefields and one near Cape Gracias a Dios. In 1641, Providence Island was captured by the Spanish. The indentured English, Africans, and a few native North Americans were able to flee to Moskitia, where they intermarried with the Moskitia population, creating further Creole culture. Moskitia was formally recognized as an independent nation-state in 1633 and British protectorate, when a young Moskitia, son of a native chief, was taken to London by Sir Robert Reach, the second Earl of Warwick. Robert Reach was also a shareholder of Providence Island Company. Due to Moskitia being a British protectorate, logwood cutters in the Bay of Honduras, or modern-day Belize, would seek refuge on the Mosquito Shore whenever they were faced with a Spanish attack. The earliest reference to enslaved Africans in the Bay of Honduras was in 1724, when Spanish missionaries documented that the British had recently been importing Africans from Jamaica and Bermuda. The British spoken of were from various European countries in addition to North Africa, but most of them had ties to the New England colonies of the North. The English was in reference to the language, not necessarily the country origin of the people. Most baymen had homes abroad. The Bay of Honduras provided commodities for their businesses. The enslaved population had continuous occupation in the Bay of Honduras, often working without supervision. Many of the enslaved fled into neighboring countries like Guatemala and the Yucatan, intermarrying with the indigenous populations. For those that stayed, they defended the settlement of Belize. The Spanish were well aware of the serious danger within the cordial relations between Moskitia and English-speaking settlers in the Bay of Honduras, the Yucatan, and on the Mosquito Shore. This contempt led to the Spanish to harshly retaliate against Yucatan logwood cutters, in addition to those in the Bay of Honduras. Within Belizean shores, these logwood cutters were not safe, as the Spanish would raid them and burn down any trace of settlement. The tenacious logwood cutters, however, would return to the area once the Spanish left. William Pitt, a merchant trader and the grandson of Governor John Pitt of Bermuda, arrived in the area of Belize around 1725, where he amassed wealth in the logwood trade. William Pitt's connections helped him to gain the support of Jamaica's governors and elite to form a new colony at Black River, which was somewhat immune to Spanish attacks due to the protection of the Mosquito, and also near trading ports of Moskitia. The first Anglo settlers of Black River were ones like William Pitt, who were driven out of the Belize settlement on the Bay of Honduras by the Spaniards, where they were welcomed by the Mosquito. Mosquito were feared by the Spaniards and now equipped with ammunition to defend the Black River settlement and their territory by guns supplied by the British. By 1739, the continual Spanish seizure of British logwood ships and the continual Mosquito raid on Spanish settlements was leading up to war between the Spanish and British. Jamaica's governor, Edward Trelawney, sent agents to the shore to seek Mosquito cooperation in the event of hostilities. Shortly after the War of Jenkins' Ear in 1740, Captain Robert Hodgson of the 49th Regiment of Foot was dispatched to consult with William Pitt at the Black River settlement to reaffirm Moskitia alliance. On March 14, 1740, Hodgson met with Mosquito King Edward and his chiefs at Sandy Bay. Sandy Bay was the royal residence just south of Cape Gracias a Dios, and King Edward was the son of King Jeremy II. These leaders agreed to transfer the shore to Great Britain. The document stated, "In a solemn manner under the colors, and at the end of every article fired a gun, and concluded by cutting up a turf, and promising to defend their country and procure for them all assistance from England in my power." The Spanish attempted to expel the baymen from the Bay of Honduras in 1716, 1724, 1731, 1733, 1745, 1751, 1754, 1779, and finally in 1798. In the 1751, 1754, and the 1798 attacks, the outnumbered enslaved are credited towards successfully repelling the Spanish. The Battle of Laboring Creek was a historical event for the Belize settlement. It was a battle in which the enslaved repelled the Spanish, who outnumbered them back into the Petén of Guatemala. The Belize River was the major artery used by logwood and later mahogany cutters to transport or float wood downstream to the mouth of the Belize River, where they loaded onto vessels to supply a wholesale market. Between 1738 and 1765, works were established along the Belize River in the area we know as Belize River Valley. The enslaved, known as huntsmen, paddled upriver to scout areas before setting up portable operations. As historical maps reflect, many enslaved traveled inland to scout for mahogany trees, cutting through dense jungles and all the dangers associated with the jungles. It was estimated that there was once one mahogany tree per square mile in the settlement. It was in these mahogany camps where a special genre of music was created by our Creole ancestors called bruck down music. Tree felling wasn't the only occupation the enslaved were assigned. Turtle meat and shells had grown to be a popular commodity, exported from the settlement of Belize in addition to various medicinal herbs and animal skin hides. The women performed domestic duties. Many of the merchant baymen had homes abroad. Many of the baymen were linked to the early New England colonies, Canada, and England. Many took up residency and established Belize's first capital, St. George's Key. Before the U.S. Constitution was drafted in 1787, inhabitants on the Bay of Honduras, or Belize, drafted their very own laws and regulations for the better government of His Majesty's subjects in the Bay of Honduras, also known as Burnaby's Code. Burnaby's Code was drafted by Sir William Burnaby, a bayman, signed on April 9, 1765, on St. George's Key by 83 baymen and 2 women. Those women were Mary Allen and Mary Will. Burnaby's Code remained in effect within the Belize settlement until 1840, when an executive council was created. The evacuation of the Mosquito Shore meant emancipation for many enslaved on the shore. These free men and women assumed household surnames, such as the Flowers family. Some of the names documented are such as Joseph Hinks, a mulatto of Rotan, his companion Eve, and their 3 children. There was also Sally, who was freed by William Tucker. Britain agreed to evacuate the Mosquito Shore after 150 years of alliance and close connection shared between the tribes of Moskitia and the English-speaking settlers. Some settlers considered Musty on the Mosquito Shore had ancestral ties to the area long enough to had a Sambu indigenous grandparent or great-grandparent, such as the Creole family and the Tenaston family. A factor in negotiation of the Mosquito Shore evacuation was both avoidance of a costly war again with Spain, and also the Bay of Honduras, Belize, had proved to be very valuable for many wealthy merchants, benefiting the crown, such as the ones residing on St. George's Key. On July 7, 1787, Superintendent Edward Marcus Despard posted an advertisement declaring new limits open for settlement in Belize. Edward Marcus Despard was an Irishman and also an administrator sent by Home Secretary Lord Sidney to accommodate the shoremen evacuees, in preference to all other persons whatsoever. Despard refused to recognize racial distinctions, distributing lands equally to mulattoes, blacks, whites, by way of lottery. Edward Marcus Despard himself was married to an African descent free woman by the name of Catherine from St. Andrews, Jamaica. Catherine was the daughter of Sarah Gordon. The bayman wrote to London complaining, "The meanest mulatto or free Negro has equal chance." According to the 1719 census, less than 10% of the population of the settlement identified as white. Over 90% of the settlement identified as either Negro or colored. In addition to those from the Mosquito Shore, Africans were arriving in the Belize settlement, now from the Igbo tribe. They settled on the south side of Belize City in an area called Igbo Town. Africans from the West Indian Regiment were also disbanded in the Belize settlement. Many settled in the area of Gels Point, Freetown Saboon, and in the Belize River Valley. In 1816, Superintendent Arthurs recorded the first knowledge of maroon villages, noting 2 slave towns that had, it appears, been long formed in the Blue Mountains to the northward of Saboon. These maroon towns were presumed to be in the mountains above Gales Point and in the area of Freetown Saboon. By 1823, the colored population of the Belize settlement outnumbered both the Negro and white population combined. After emancipation in 1834, it was noted that the colored population varied in shades of admixtures between European and African and were the backbone of the country. In 1834, it was also the first mention of Belizean Creole, as they proudly called themselves.
Dedicate this song to my grandmother. She was from Belize River Valley, and he carried the gombe drum way down south many years ago, and that's why I'm here with you tonight. So players band, who not ready for me? Hey, Balanjo. In Belize we free, so listen carefully. We better than every other country. With the culture, ethnicity, and culture diversity, we still live in peace and harmony. History had made it clear that 9th of March every year we celebrate Baron Bliss Day. The Baron was a generous man and left all the wealth with his land. God bless the Baron from foreign land. Eba lang shot. In the Easter holidays, Christian mourn and pray the crucifixion, how we Christ the King. Hear the church bell ring, you can hear them sing. Resurrection, how we Savior Christ the King. Oh, land of the free, where we ancestors me left we. Oh, land of the free, oh, Lord, what a legacy. 10th of September day, African and Creole say they fight to secure this year land. The British then take up them stand and help we secure this land for whenever wicked aggression plan. 21st of September 1981, that the birth of this lovely nation. The Union Jack dropped, Belize flag on the top. Independence celebration never stop. Oh, land of the free, where we ancestors we left we. Oh, land of the free, oh, Lord, what a legacy. When Christopher Columbus arrived, the Indians were well alive, and he holla all a Cape Pasa. Yo te quiero a ti, y tú me quieres a mí. Mestizo culture Ghanaian history. 1805, when the first Garifuna arrived, they were welcomed by Creole community. And they utter some words like Boiti Benafe and Katige Badugu Bay no matter ye. Oh, land of the free, where we ancestors we left we. Land of the free, oh Lord, what a legacy. In the month of November, we must always remember we not only celebrate Garifuna Day, that the closing hurricane season, and we have every reason we broke down and bring in Christmas season. Baby Jesus on Christmas Day in a manger far away, and as he got it, baby, that same day. Everybody they celebrate, we so happy we just can't wait, cause this new year won't be bigger and great. Keep along, show.